Tell it to every Muslim, every Jew, and pagan. The time is come for spiritual repatriation. These are illusions of fascination. Get the troubled mind, they shall suffer. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. Please hit the like. Likes are free. Thank you. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, he's smoothing it out. I like that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solo TV 84. I'm your gracious host. Oh, wait. I'm sorry, though. I know what's going to be automatic. Hold on. Wait. I'm sorry. My bad. Okay. Whew. See, that's what happens when the Negro back on SoundCloud. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, guys, so I got a special guest on. You know what I'm saying? Some of you guys know who he is. When he comes through, he makes it tsunami. He makes it rain. You feel me? This is the big baller. He always dropping hundreds in the super chats like it's nothing. You know what I mean? We got a special guest in the building. Hey, special guest, man, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, bro.
This is Ike, live and direct from California. How y'all doing?
All right, that's what's up. And you Asian, right?
I'm Asian, white, Caucasian. Nah, straight up Negro. I'm I'm actually Nigerian, 100%. I am a black albino. So hair texture and nose and all that stuff, straight up black. But you know, I'm just lacking that melanin.
Okay. Now, is it when you talk to black women and you say, "Hey, baby, I'm black," and do they like be like, "No, you're not, Zaddy"? Like, what do they say? If you ever talk to sisters, you know what I'm saying? Like, what they say? Like, what's their reaction?
Well, you know what? I think that in person is probably a little bit more obvious because of, you know, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of obvious when you're talking to a black person. I don't know what it is, but definitely the nose, the lips, and all that kind of stuff definitely does give it away. I don't know, maybe the bulge too, right?
Okay, okay, bro. The cap is real. Shout out to Ike, man. We got Ike in the building. You know what I mean? Let's go. Hold up. Okay, so some of you guys know Ike. He always making it rain in the super chats. He's helped pay for the new mic and the new webcam coming. You feel me? Like Ike, let's start with you, bro. Before we get into the main topics, like you said, you're from Nigeria, right? So how did you end up in California? Like, tell us about how did you end up where you are now, bro? And what do you do? Like, we heard the music, like that's Ike. A lot of people don't know, but he makes music. How did you like? I know I'm asking like a bunch of questions, but how did you turn into music? Like, how did you, get into music? Yeah.
So right now, what I do is, you know, I do music. I also make certain videos on YouTube on the engineering side of things, but I'm a structural engineer, licensed professional engineer in California, Washington, and Oregon. So I'm kind of based in the West Coast and I travel up and down the West Coast for work and stuff like that. Now, regarding how I ended up in the United States, because you mentioned correctly, I was born in Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria for 17 years. And actually, you guys may have heard of, probably you guys haven't heard of this because it's usually popular in the immigrant community, but there's a visa lottery where you play a lottery and you win a green card. Okay. Some of y'all might know what a green card is. But that's what happened to me, like right towards the end of my high school career, if you will. I won the lottery, which, you know, I pretty much blew my wad as far as luck goes there because, yeah, you got to think about it because you have people from India, China, all over the world. You're talking billions of people, right? And they choose about 6,000 a year, at least at that time, which was about 1998 when I won. And then I had to jump through a few hoops and do certain things in order to qualify because, you know, first they just pick you out and then you got to qualify and they make you do all these craziness. I went through all that and then moved to New York, 1999, lived in New York for a year, came to California, started going to college, and I guess we'll get into the rest.
Okay. And shout out to Tacman Clan Killer. He says Ike is black, Joe Biden. He is black though. You know what I mean?
Oh, you ain't really black.
Shout out to Man on Fire. He says, yeah, the lottery be hilarious. You know what I mean? Yeah, I heard a couple people doing that. But I ain't never heard of a nigga who won though. Facts. You know what I'm saying? But salute to Ike for you winning. So you started out in New York, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up from New York to LA? Like that's a different shift, obviously.
Yeah, it's a total opposite side, right? So it was supposed to be just a visit. So when I moved to New York, I was living with an aunt of mine. I was 17 at the time, and the plan was get a job, start going to college, and all that stuff. And the New York City College at the time was whether it's a semester system or a quarter system, I don't recall, but there was like 6 more months for me to wait before I could start, right? I had cousins too in California. So I'm from a very large and very old family. Generally speaking, that's not very uncommon for an African to say, right? Because you grow up in Africa, your people have always been there, everybody knows who your people are, and then you spread out all over the world, you end up having family all over the world because people outside of the United States tend to travel, right? That's just how life is outside the United States. People in America too travel, they just travel within the United States because it's big enough, right? So I had cousins too in California. So I wanted to visit them, right? They were like, well, my aunt said, well, since it's going to be like 6 more months before you go to college, just come over to California. But when I came to California, I discovered community college, which they were like, hey, you could just start with us right now. They're on a quarter system. We're going to this college, blah, 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 blah. So here I am in freaking Rancho Cucamonga, California, Southern California. Some of y'all might know where that is if you've been to Southern California. And I started going to Chaffey College, right? And that's how I got here.
Okay, dope. And Lord Vell in the league says albinos are rare like a virgin. I think that's a compliment, Ike, right? We'll take it as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ike, let me ask you this. How did you end up in structural engineering? I mean, I know, salute to you, but you started in community college on a lottery visa from Nigeria. How did you end up in structural engineering, and what trials and tribulations did you have to go through to, get your education?
Okay. So growing up in Nigeria, education, in terms of higher education, if you have the opportunity, was the key. That is the way. That's how you get out. That's how you slide, at least one finger from underneath the boot of just the general freaking oppressive environment. And by oppressive, I just mean life, life and circumstances and the economics and all that shit. Not trying to talk about anybody oppressing anybody, right? So education was is very, very important in the Nigerian community. Even when I say it now, it sounds strange because when you grow up, it's not something you even say. It just is what it is, right? So even your grandparents who were not educated respected and pushed education a lot, right? It's just simply what you do, right? So right from growing up, I knew I was going to go to college and study something, right?
Right.
But here's the one thing though, something important about going to getting that education in any other country other than the United States is that they only take like the top 1% of scores, let's say, of grades. It's not easy, in other words, to be educated outside the United States. You really got to grind, you really got to work, and then get into the colleges and so on and so forth. And it's not cheap, blah, 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 blah. So your parents and your family really gotta support you. It's gotta really you got really have to have a nice structure there in order for you to actually see it through. So that was the plan, right? But as I was saying, I went to boarding school, by the way, in Nigeria, which is something else that it's not quite common in the United States. But boarding school, I don't know. There's a view of it over here in the United States, like it's something that you go to if you're a problem child or something. But it's actually pretty good, especially for boys. It teaches you discipline. I went from I was 10 to 17.
Aren't boarding schools common in Africa though? Because
they're common in Africa. They're common in Europe.
My mom is Ghanaian, right? That's not a secret. But she went to an all-girls boarding school in Ghana. I remember. Yes. Okay.
Boarding schools are common. So, long story short, I knew I was going to do something. What was I going to do? I liked to draw. I have a creative side, right? You started playing some of my music earlier as proof of that. Right. But I liked to draw, but I also really, really liked physics, which was weird because I sucked at math for the longest time. I only started getting good at math like when I was like 21 or something. So, but I really liked physics and I liked to draw. So I was like, maybe I'll do architecture, right? And in Nigeria, by the time you are, I believe, about 14 years old, I don't know the grade system because we don't really do the grade system, but it's equivalent, right? But around 14 years old, they make you decide, are you going into business? Which is the social sciences, let's say. You go into social sciences, the sciences, or the arts, right? So at 14, you already know you got to decide which path you're going to go down. So I chose the sciences, generally because it had the widest spread of viable occupations and opportunities, and I could do my architecture thing. I could study some physics and do some drawing, right? So I started going to Chaffey College, right? And started taking some design classes. And I realized that I fucking hated it. I hated education. I hated, and it's kind of, I don't like when anything artistic becomes work, and it's kind of why I do my music on the side or whatever. But when you're putting me through these classes, the design classes of, drawing 10,000 triangles and doing this and paint that and coming with these crazy boards and submitting that, I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, I like my art to be fun, So I was like, you know what? I got to do something. I got to switch to something where it's real, right? Where I'm learning something. Okay, I can still be designing buildings, but I can go to the engineering side of things. Now, as I said, I really sucked at math, right? Which, by the way, I would attribute that to my eyesight, right? You may not know this, but albinos have horrible eyesight, right?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
It goes with the territory, right? I don't quite know why. Like, what the fuck? The melanin, and then all of a sudden, fuck up your eye, anyways, or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Funny.
But I've always learned by ear, right? But you cannot hear math, dude, right? You got to see it. So I was at a big disadvantage in that regard. But I decided to go after this engineering degree anyways, and I had to jump through certain hoops, okay? After getting some of the prerequisites at Chaffey College, I transferred to Cal Poly Pomona, right, which is an engineering school. But I could not get in because I did not have the math grades and I did not qualify for this impacted just means it's hard to get in. Impacted program in Cal Poly Pomona, which a lot of engineers come out of Cal Poly in California. Mm-hmm. So I went in through some bullshit major, just behavioral science or some shit like that. I just wanted to get in, right? So I got in, and then I started doing certain things, taking certain classes out of order, right? Getting in where I fit in, teaching myself calculus so that I can take some engineering classes, right? So that by the time I took a couple of engineering classes, some of the math started to click because, as I said, I liked physics. Physics is visual, physics is real, it's intuitive, but there's math behind it. So when I got deeper into the calculus and the physics and so on and so forth, taking engineering classes, and I went backwards to start taking the math class to get the math prerequisites. Anyone from Cal Poly watching this right now may decide, what the fuck, you did that? We're going to take back your degree or whatever. But yeah, I already got the degree, okay? I don't think they could take it back. But I just did it a little bit backwards. So that was kind of like the story behind me becoming. I got my master's later on. There's a long story after that, right? But that's how I got the bachelor's.
We got to keep it a bridge, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Neck of the Woods with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. You feel me? Just checking in. No, but okay, let me ask you this, because a lot of people, right, when they come on from another country, either they want to do something that's, I don't know, I guess it depends on the level of intelligence of the person, but they want to do something that they know they can succeed in right away. But you wanted to do something difficult. Like, you initially wanted to do physics.
Physics, engineering, whatever. I mean, those are kind of same difficulty type stuff. Now, why did I want to do something difficult? Well, the thing is, as I said, in Nigeria, school is difficult. There is no. So, as a matter of fact.
So, was it easier then for you to transition to the American? Okay.
You can ask your mom.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Your mom's still around, right? I didn't.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Salute to my mother. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you can ask a lot of immigrants from outside the United States, and they will tell you, this is not uncommon knowledge, that the high school education system in the United States sucks. I'm an American citizen. I'm not bashing America. I'm here in the United States. I said it was good luck for me to win the lottery, right? So I'm not talking shit, right? But we all know education system here on the high school level sucks, right?
Yeah.
So when I came over, yeah, it was easy, right? Because over there, they don't just let you slide. They'll hold your ass back. You get whooped. Shit is hard. Shit is real. You know what I mean? So in terms of like, well, doing a difficult thing, it was like second nature, you know?
Okay. So how did you get into the music? Because obviously I can tell you have a creative side to you, right? You are a structural engineer. Your videos, you're doing designs and drawings. And then with music, Obviously, that's something you're passionate about. How did you get into that?
That's so like everybody else, right? We all like music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that just is what it is. But I think that now this is looking in hindsight, okay? So it's not like I was thinking about it while I was going through, but looking in hindsight, I was always good with performances, even though just like a typical engineer, math guy type, I'm an introvert, meaning the shit I like to do is shit that doesn't involve other people. Right. And if I want to recharge, it does not involve going around other people. It involves getting away from other people. But I noticed that I can kind of grab people's attention, especially with the singing and whatever, that kind of stuff. Now, this is looking back, okay? But when I came over to the United States, when I moved to California, started going to Chaffey College, my cousin, right, used to make beats. And he had this 6-channel Casio keyboard, which he kind of showed me. We used to, this was around 2000. So Chronic 2000 was out, which is like the definitive hip hop album. I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm sorry, cousin, my bad.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Chronic 2000 was out, and we used to like making Dr. Dre beats because he's the GOAT when it comes to beats. Again, I don't care who you are. Now, he kind of taught me the ropes as to, well, here's how you do this and you do that, and you record the drums, you record the bass, you record the piano, blah 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 blah. 6-channel, you can make any beat. That was intriguing to me, and I generally liked. I also mentioned that I like to draw, right? So that there was some kind of creative thing already that's kind of innate, right? I liked to draw, but I didn't really know that I was creative in the music aspect as well. But just like in the drawing, I did not like to do still life. I did not like to draw other people's stuff. So I didn't really like to, or like real stuff. I like same thing with music. I didn't really like to make the beats that he would make in terms of like, oh, let's reproduce another person's beat.
Right.
I wanted to make my own beats. So that's kind of how I started doing that. I don't know how to read music or anything, but I have a good ear, which kind of goes back to what I said about learning by ear.
Right.
I have a very good ear. If I can hear something in my head and then I can play it on the piano. And when you're recording something, you can make all kinds of mistakes and fix it, right? So it's not like, I'm not saying I'm a keyboard player, throw me on a concert and I'll play. It's like, no, but if you put me in a studio, I'll play it and I'll give you a deliverable, a package of recorded stuff, that involves a lot of editing. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Dope. I like this, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solo TV 84. We got Big Baller Ike in the building. Salute to Ike. And he says, hey, introvert gang. Now, Ike, I got to be honest, bro. When you send me your engineering link, I thought it was just going to be like you like selling some courses. I didn't know you were doing like some real engineering, right? Do you want me to show the channel, bro? Like,
you can show them for, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
I'm sure.
Now, do we have any engineers? Huh?
No, I just said, where the engineers at? There's got to be one or two.
I mean, do we have any? I know, like I said, one of my best friends, Ike, is an engineer. He watches my channel. He probably will appreciate what you do if I tell him. But bro, you told me about this, and I started watching the video, and bro, I was like, yo, I know about dots, but I don't know about blocks like this. You know what I'm saying? And you got some decent views. I mean, obviously, I see you haven't uploaded recently. But What made you decide to start a YouTube channel, and why did you kind of fall off? Because it looks like you were getting some traction a few years ago doing it.
Yes, sir. And
your video got 100,000 views. Good Lord. Like, why did you stop?
So far, I paused, right? Mm-hmm. I'm coming back. I actually have a video that I'm working on. Literally, it's on one of my windows right now on the computer. Why did I'll answer why I started, but why did I stop is that I just got really, really busy in the past couple of years with, because this is called Prometheus Engineering Group, right? But I have a company called Prometheus Engineering, right? So the YouTube doesn't pay me what the Prometheus Engineering actual company pays me, right? So
of course.
So I kind of fell off a little bit, but I do take that channel quite seriously. I am coming back. I'm gonna make part 2 of that structural vibration video that which was the last one that was created last year. Now, why did I start doing this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I see in going to college, well, just in general, right? When you understand the fundamentals of something, you don't have to know too much. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I know what you mean, bro. You know how we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me use this. Let me put it in an analogy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, bro.
Let me put it in an analogy form. Knowing the fundamental, okay, knowing how to do something, okay, how to do it, as opposed to understanding how it really works. Knowing how to do it is like having a bag of tools, which you gotta carry around. I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Is that my bad?
It might be you, bro, because I don't hear anything on my end.
Okay, all good. Sorry. Knowing how to do something is like having a bunch of tools that you got to carry around. You got to have this heavy bag of screwdriver and this and a wrench and a that and the other. But understanding the fundamentals is almost like being able to create the tool for whatever job you need. I don't need to carry this heavy bag of, well, there's this method and this method and this method. If there's one underlying basic principle that forms the bottom of the pyramid, I just know that, then I can apply that to anything, right? It's like if I know, so another analogy is having a bunch of recipes versus understanding how to cook, right? So if you got a bunch of recipes, you gotta like, no, I gotta measure this, I gotta measure that. But if you understand sweet, sour, salty, if you understand how to form the base of a sauce and then add on top of it, you understand how to layer flavors, you understand how to cook, then it doesn't matter what the fuck, you don't need a recipe, right? So that's what I mean. Like, if when I always like to know the fundamentals because I'm lazy. I don't want a big bag of tools. I want to go down to the bottom, get the real shit, and just keep that in my pocket. Any situation I encounter, I can always, from the fundamentals, recreate whatever I need to do. So, in studying engineering, you don't have a lot of time. Not blaming the universities, and nobody wants to a lot of people don't want to do this shit anyways. Not a lot of people want to get the fundamentals, right? But studying engineering, you don't have a lot of time to really drill down on the fundamentals because, okay, here's the fundamentals. This is the first part of the course. We'll derive some equations, and then we got to give you some tools. Okay, got to tell you this is this method, this method, this is how you do this, how you do blah 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 blah. But someone like me, I always kind of thirsted for the fundamental knowledge explained and described to me in a certain way that I can get, where I can recreate the concept from intuition, right? Where I can go from just thinking about how something moves and how it flows, which anybody can imagine that stuff, right? And then you think that through, and all of a sudden now you have mathematical equations which are representations of the movements and the flows and the forces, right? So I knew that there were many people, or there's got to be someone else just like me who's like, man, I went to engineering school, but I really want to know what I mean when I say these words, right? What the hell does it really mean? It's like a lot of people, they carry money around in their pocket. But if you ask people what money is, 99% of people don't know what money actually is. I know you do some cryptocurrency stuff, so you know what money is, probably. But most people don't know what money actually is. It's just a paper that gets them whatever the fuck, right? So I wanted to get the fundamentals, and my videos, basically my engineering videos, are the fundamentals of those concepts. So for college students that are going to school right now, or people that, and it could be for the layperson that wants to understand when I say bending stress, what does that mean? When I say shear stress, or simple things like compression and this and that, or energy, blah, blah, blah. What exactly are people actually talking about? Now, some people like to blow your mind. Just one of my beefs with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, I said it. But some people like to blow your mind rather than just tell you the fundamental shit. If you put a puppy dog on the table, right? Puppy dog does not need physics to know that he shouldn't jump off. You see it going to the edge and it's like, no. Why? Because we all have internal intuition about physics. We all know I don't need to tell you if you're trying to break that window and you throw a ball at it and it doesn't break. I don't need to tell you to pick it up and throw it harder, right? You don't need an equation that says half mv squared, it increases with the square of the velocity. Mind blown. It's like, no, you know that shit. Okay. Now the point is, how do you go from knowing that shit to an equation? You simply chart what you know by doing experiments. If I throw it in 1 mile per hour, what does it do? 2 miles per hour, what does it? 3 miles per hour, what does it do? Let me draw a chart, a graph. That graph becomes an equation, and voila. But some motherfuckers like to go straight to the equation and blow your mind. And I'm not down with that. So I start with the fundamentals. That's why I do those videos.
Oh, that's dope, bro. And that's dope. And you are very passionate about this. I can tell, like, the way you really getting into it, right? And I really appreciate that. Let me ask you a question. Like, you being from another country and seeing how a lot of people here are into, what they're into, why do you think that people don't value education as much in America, and they would rather get like a liberal arts degree or Afrocentric studies or home ec cooking class? By the way, I'm still not teaching how to make eggs, Steve the Dean. That interview is coming soon. For those who don't know, that enormous tale of entanglement that you guys had me in due to your egomaniac egos. Okay, we'll address that in another stream, but let me ask you this. Why do you think a lot of people here who have the opportunity to take advantage of how you've taken advantage of it, why do you think they don't?
Okay, obviously, there's going to be many layers of this crap, none of which, it's like asking, well, what led to the French Revolution? You can look at anything from an infinite number of perspectives, like this kind of kaleidoscope or whatever. Like, okay, this is this view, this view, this view, this view, this view, and here's this view from over here. Okay, but
I mean, bro, we can talk about the multiverse on another stream, but I'm
okay,
just trying to ask you this question, bro. You
my
get
bad.
all this
My
like
bad.
galactic of orders, bro. I see you, bro. I see you.
All right, so
I see you.
a couple of things I think are important, and you got to talk about like the economy of the United States, and I mean by economy, not the current economy, but the economy in the past, which obviously has influenced the culture in the sense that back, let's say 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you could get along and raise a family with a job at the general store, right? Or just working as an electrician. Not, you don't really have to have your own electrician company. You could just be an electrician, and you'll have a family of 4, and your wife doesn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. There were certain circumstances which we need not get into, which made it such that America's economy was that way. It's no longer that way. We all know that, right? Right now, you need to fucking hustle, okay? Otherwise, you're done. So a lot of people, as the economy started waning away, are getting left behind, still thinking that they can do the bare minimum and still make it, right? So that's one aspect. That's the economic aspect. But American culture in general is not like the French culture, let's say, where it's about highfalutin philosophy and writing books, or like the Germans with their Mozart and their Bach and their Einstein, so on and so forth. America is, well, we need to get some stuff done, right? So it's not a culture, generally speaking, that values education very highly. And as a matter of fact, a lot of Americans are kind of self-aware or insecure about that, right? And that's kind of why we value a lot of European stuff, right? We look at them like, oh, that's where the high culture is. And one of the very important attributes or parameters with which you measure high culture is levels of education, right? And the arts and such. And that's not really what America was ever about, right? But they need, you can't keep doing that though, because that shit ended in the 50s. Like, now people really have to change their viewpoint, because partly because of globalization, right? It is globalization that made it such you cannot work at the general store anymore and still make it, right? With globalization, now you're competing with the Indians, the South Indians. Now, I live in the Bay Area. The South Indians are there's some smart motherfuckers, right? And if you think you're going to be in a global arena competing, right? Just like whether it's the sexual marketplace or in the marketplace for jobs or whatever, it's now all global. So everybody's game needs to be stepped up.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, I thought we was going to talk about California girls today, and now you flipped the script. He like, nah, fam, I'm gonna drop some knowledge. All right, bro, I appreciate that. Shout out to No Ma'am with the $5 super chat. He says shout out to Solo and Ike. I appreciate that. By the way, No Ma'am is a guy from my town. Salute to him. Tacman Clan Killer says Ike Shakur, the Nigerian Thug Life super chat. Jesus, $2 super chat. You know, Tacman Clan Killer likes to troll. So by the way, for those who are watching, my name is Solo TV 84. We got Big Baller Ike, aka Prometheus, in the building, part of Prometheus Engineering Group. Check out the YouTube channel, guys, especially for the engineers, the physicists, the aspiring mathematicians, the nerds, the geeks. You guys know me. I'm a geek at heart, though, because I watch anime. So they're like, Solo, that's the only geeky thing about you. Now, Ike, let's get into some other topics here real quick. Now, how did you get into the red pill? Like, you seem like a very well-read guy. You're very intelligent, bro. Because I mean, I had notes on big booty girls here. I got to re-scratch that. But how did you get into the red pill? Did you get your heart broken by a girl? Were you having issues? Were you going your own way? Talk about your journey a bit, bro.
Okay, I would say to begin with, I grew up in a society where I could see different modes of operation vis-a-vis how men and women relate. So my grandparents, for example, both on my mother's side and my father's side, were polygamous. So I was used to, well, I have my grandma, and then there's the other wives, and they're in this house, this big house with a courtyard, and then the different quarters and the different, so on and so forth. That's one mode of arrangement, right? And everything from that to all kinds of other stuff. And I could see, and here's an important thing. I noticed that just because in those kinds of societies, men have their sphere and women have their sphere, okay? And men don't go into the women's sphere, ain't got no fucking business there, right? Women do not go into the man's sphere, right? And in the borders and the boundaries where interaction happens, there's a protocol as to how that interaction happens, right? There's a way in which those kinds of things are done. But I knew that just because people have different spheres and different roles does not necessarily mean that one person is oppressing another person, right? And this was just, again, this is in hindsight. I grew up that way. I just kind of grew up, right? So if I come to the United States and somebody says, oh, this and that, and it was all about oppression and this and that, I'm like, not really. I'm like, no, grandma had her sphere. Grandpa had his sphere. They did not mix, but they were not known. One was oppressing the other, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just had their different ways. So that's one important thing. But then on a philosophical level, in terms of like, why was I predisposed to get into the red pill, which I'll get into how I got into it. But I was predisposed, one, because of what I just mentioned, kind of society, seeing different modes. Secondly, from a philosophical standpoint, I mentioned that I was a very precocious child. I like to read a lot and study all kinds of shit. I'm a fucking nerd. So philosophically, I kind of fall on the...
Yo, I don't... Negro, how the hell did you end up watching me, bro? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're like... wait, is it because I'm dark? Wait, okay, I'm not doing the color. Bro, like, how you... Bro, you sound like a smart guy. Like, bro, are you sure you don't watch me when you're high? You're like, yo, let me watch the Solo guy smoke real quick because he's funny and shit. Like, I'm sitting like, bro, how did you end up watching me, bro?
I'm not going to confirm or deny that. But don't insult your listeners, right? Because what are you saying? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Saying, bro, if my listeners are as smart as you, goddamn, I'm the luckiest motherfucker on YouTube. Shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Well, so I got into you, by the way, by watching Joe Rogan, and then I saw Jordan Peterson, and then you start watching Jordan Peterson, and people start thinking you're a crazy woman hater or something, and then they think Solo is also a crazy woman hater, and then YouTube starts recommending that shit to you. But you are of all the general content out there in the space, I liked I just kind of like the humor, right? All the simp tales and the commentary on stuff. I like the humor and the lightheartedness of it all, because a lot of the stuff in this area is a little too serious for for what they're actually saying. Like it's okay to be serious, but you can't be all super serious when you're just okay. Here's another video about booty and women. Another video, and it's all just fucking serious. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
But Solo TV 84 always got the jokes. They always laughing. You can't be taking yourself too damn seriously. And I'm that kind of person myself, so that's kind of why it's stuck, right? Um, so philosophically, I kind of fall on the there's a nature to things kind of argument side of, if you want to talk about, I think that things have a nature. Hence, men have a nature, women have a nature, right? I'm not saying anything new. It's kind of a postmodernist thing these days for all borders and natures to become, oh, it's all in your head and it's all, everything is no boundaries, that kind of stuff. That was not my bag philosophically. And I've always studied philosophy. So A, growing up in a certain kind of society, B, studying philosophy and being attuned with the nature side of the equation left me predisposed. But yes, you go through certain rough patches, you make certain silly mistakes, right, with women, and then you learn that just because you have certain knowledge on a high level, philosophically, so on and so forth, doesn't really mean you know how it translates down to the sexual marketplace and
Mm.
and the nature of people and how they behave, both men and women, in that sexual marketplace.
I like that you bring that up because, you probably look at a problem, right? And then, and I'm not trying to like insult you. It's just for reference sake. But you know that A, B equals C, right? But then when you look at women, it's not like that. Because with women, CD equals Z. You feel me? So
Yeah, you
you
need yeah,
realize
you need another equation. Yeah.
exactly. See, what we've been taught, and I'm glad you bring that up, you probably think, and I don't know, maybe your upbringing has something to do with it as well, where you were taught to respect women and treat them as such, which is nothing wrong with respecting women. But the problem is that a lot of us have been brainwashed to think that if we are nice to women, we're gentlemen, then 1, 2 equals 3, right? Well, it's not like the movies. It's not like, oh, I bring a girl roses on a date and she will love me. No, no, no. What happens is girls run away. You know what I mean? So when you start to realize this, I mean, now you are like, let's fast forward. Now you're working in the engineering industry, and salute to Melody. She says, like the stream. Shout out to Melody. You feel me? Shout out to Melody. Anyway, so like I was, that was a nice picture, by the way. So like I was saying, so like you started to become successful in the engineering field. When did you realize that, you know what, I'm great with understanding structures, equations, dynamics of in my field, but women are a completely different equation?
Yeah. So a lot of times, and I'll answer the question quite directly, but just one sentence about what you were saying about A, B equals C, but it's not so with women. I would say that it's a different equation. It is still rational, though. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, then what the hell is all these
Hey,
people
wait,
talking about?
wait, brother, you might have to save that for the ebook.
Yeah,
Go ahead, bro. Like, break it
I'll,
down.
I'll,
Break it
I'll
down.
break down the information for you in the ebook. I'll get a little, a little solicitation fee or whatever. We'll work it out. But basically, it is not that it doesn't make sense. It's that you were thinking that a fish was going to ride a bicycle, or you get what I'm saying? It's like if you could spend 10,000 years saying that the fish is irrational for not riding the bicycle, but someone else who has the right equation who come and be like, what the fuck? It's a fish, right? So
Facts.
here's something that one of the things that led me to kind of realize this. Now I'm answering your question about how did I come to see that this is different and a different question, so on and so forth. Okay, because I'll tell you this: the average man and the average woman are equally as smart. Okay, I'm not talking about bell curve distribution and all that kind of nerd stuff about who has the more tail end and whatever, right? But the average man, the average woman, equally as smart. Okay, and equally as rational. I will deal with women, for example, a higher IQ than I was or I had. And I don't have to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty smart guy. Dealing with this math major, let's say, right, in college. And we're kicking it, we're cool. And I feel, let me bring up certain conversations because as you may be able to tell, I like intellectual conversations, right? I like all kinds of conversations. I like all kinds of ideas. So I'm like, let me talk this red pill. It's not red pill because I was red pill then, right? I don't even think I'm red pill now. I'm just talking about, in terms of knowledge. I'm talking about the philosophical knowledge. I said I like to talk about nature of things, and I know that in the West we have been breaking down borders and scaffolding and the roles, spheres, parameters of how we interact, so on and so forth. I was like, well, this is very interesting. I'm with this girl, we're kicking it, she's cool. Let's talk, right? Which is a big mistake. You already know that, right? It's like Fight Club. You like to call it the Fight Club thing, right? The first rule about Fight Club, okay? So one of the first things I started to notice was, now this is a person that if you were to put a test on the table, start the time clock, she'll kick my ass. I know she's got the intellectual firepower to do the stuff, to reason it through. Okay. But whenever I would bring up the topic like, oh, so what do you think about, well, what kind of games did you play when you were a girl, and what kind of games did you see the guys play? What did you think about the boys, and what did the boys think about the girls? How are we different in that kind of way, so on and so forth? There was always deflection, like, uh-oh, I'm gonna move logic out of the way, and I'm gonna just say, I asked you about A, and you're like, no, but patriarchy. Oh, well, what do you think about A? You're blaming the victim. But I'm just asking you about A. 75 cents to the dollar. And I was like,
He said 75. Oh, if my girl, yes. Wave
so
the way. Okay, okay. I'm sorry, Ike. I don't mean to cut you off, but my girl's probably watching, so I know you can explain it more eloquently than I can. But is the wave gap a myth or is it real?
there's something about statistics, right? And I want to keep this answer general because there is no winning that argument, right?
Really?
You know,
No. I never win arguments against women.
there is no winning this particular argument too, right? So what's the point of me breaking some things down? So I'm going to break it down in a general way where you can at least get certain general consensus, which is that there is something about sophisticated consumption of statistics which people do not, you know the saying, there's lies, there's damned lies, and then there's statistics, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the statistics are lies, it's that you got to know what it means, right? So let me take an example.
I think I know where you're going with this. I finally think I'm up to speed. Oh my God, guys, look, I've been slow the whole stream, but I'm finally on the same. Okay, go ahead. I got you, bro. I got you.
So it's like, if you're in the neighborhood, I'm going to use since we're talking statistics, right? And I'm keeping it general because there's no point in doing these kind of argument things because I'll be making the mistake where you're trying to talk about fishes and bicycles again. Like I don't fall for that shit anymore. Okay, but what does it mean if you have a neighborhood of average Americans and then Bill Gates moves into the neighborhood? What does the average income in that neighborhood mean? Does that number actually mean anything? What does it mean? No, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
Bill Gates is there. Bill Gates threw off the fucking number, right?
Fact.
So
Fact.
a lot of times people would look at numbers like, oh, the average this and this the killing of that, but there's always a distribution with all kinds of other parameters and all kinds of other things that you can either level up, change, adjust, move to the left, move to the right, which the statisticians know, and people who kind of consume that kind of information in a sophisticated way, either because of their work or so on and so forth, they also know, but that is a bridge too far for a lot of common people. Okay, but everybody understands the Bill Gates example, right? In the sense that if you have a certain distribution, average makes sense. But in other distributions where you have Bill Gates in the house, what the fuck does it mean for me to even be saying the word average? What does it mean for me to be saying this quadrant, that quadrant, this percentile, that percentile? The issue with that 75-cent thing is aligned with what I just said, even though I didn't break it all down that way, is that there are many other parameters that you need to adjust for and look at, that when you break it all down, you're like, oh, it's more like 90 cents to a dollar, right? After you break down certain things, when you account for, well, the work, the time off for the kids, certain things you don't want to do, right? Male nurses make more than female nurses because they will tend to do some of the riskier type of things. They have, it's just, okay, so you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, of course, bro. I got my dictionary open right now. I'm about to start using some big words just for
Yeah,
you.
but really, it's not about that. It's not about that, really. It's like all those things are deflections, right? It's like I want to talk about A, and just like the person kept, that I kept saying, it's like right, and it's like,
Wait. I just had a black woman say that I was subjugating her to irrelevant treatment. Now, subjugated, she used that in the wrong context. I don't even think that's a word. And I'm not even the brightest guy.
subjugated is a word, but maybe she used it in
She
the
used
right
it
or
in the
wrong
wrong
context.
context.
Okay, but the thing is, so
Ike is like, golly, this conversation is so beneath me right now.
this guy.
He's like, Butler, play the music. I need some classical music after talking to these niggas. Okay, I'm sorry.
I may or may not get in trouble with certain people, or the massive people, so on and so forth. But the people that I know.
Actually, I think I've kept it pretty clean. I think this has been a pretty clean show, actually.
Yeah, and I've actually
Except
not
for
said
the last
anything.
part.
I haven't said anything ridiculous. All I said was, hey, if Bill Gates is in the neighborhood, what does it mean to be an average? If I say, this and that and the parameter, whatever, and everybody, if they can glam onto the Bill Gates example, they understand, oh, words mean something, and certain words have no place in certain sentences, like the average income of a neighborhood where Bill Gates lives in is a nonsense statement to make. The number does not do anything for you. Okay, it doesn't tell you anything about the characteristics of that neighborhood. You will not know anything about that neighborhood just by looking at the average income. Okay, but anyways, so I would say certain things, and someone that I know that is smarter than me, which and you're a smart guy, Solo, and any reasonable human being knows that, again, the average man is just as smart. Oh, the average man and average woman, just as smart, right? And dealing with a woman smarter than me, however, if what I'm saying does not line up with certain preconceived notions or certain doctrines of certain beliefs, which have to do with how that person feels about themselves, either that day or in general, then, and this is true with all human beings, it's called cognitive dissonance, right? You can have people who believe in biblical creation, and I'm not talking about just believing in the Bible. I mean, if you believe that the earth was created in 6 days and so on and so forth, they believe in that, but they also believe in flying planes with science. People do this shit all the time, right? It's kind of a very common human characteristic that we can take logic, but then if it doesn't work for some kind of thing that we're trying to achieve, we just move the logic away. It can easily be moved away. Okay, so this is not picking on anybody. It's just this happens. Okay, now it tends to happen or it tended to happen. This is anecdotal evidence from my life. It tended to happen with these smart women that I'm talking about, right? And because I would not just be bringing up conversations with random people, right? I know these people can follow the logic, but will not because of certain priors. And this is not about attacking them. I just gave an example of how people believe in creation story, but still believe in science and will use gasoline in their car and shit. It's like, right?
Well,
So
can't you believe in both? And by the way, Ike, I didn't know you were so long-winded, bro. I said I said an hour and a half, bro. I didn't even get. I got questions written down for you. I didn't even get through half.
My bad. I'm
but
sorry.
Here's the good thing, Ike. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm so glad you came on this topic because this is something that we don't talk enough about, right? Now, you would consider yourself a man of the sciences, or you have studied the sciences, right, sir? I mean, you're a scientist.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. Couldn't somebody argue that science actually does prove certain, or does prove that religion is true, or whatever? Or do you say, because the way you're saying it is, you making it sound like, well, if science is, accurate or exists, then religion is completely false, even though science has proven religion to be accurate in certain cases.
Yeah.
As religion, and I know Ike, you probably go, well, where are your references? So, well, see, Ike.
No. I'm not doing any of that,
bro.
Look, I'm not doing any of that.
I'm right here, bro. But I thought we was gonna talk about thoughts today, bro.
Hold on. I'm gonna spend just half a minute, and then I'm gonna half a minute, and then we'll talk. We'll go right back.
Right, go ahead, bro.
It's on you. Okay?
It's on you, Ike. It's on you. Just do me a favor, Ike. Just at least hit the like button, bro. Like, tell them to hit the like button on the stream.
Hey, smash the likes, right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solo TV84. We got Ike, the Albano chocolate thunder down under. Janae was checking for him, but Janae, you too broke to deal with him. Now, Ike, let me ask you a question, not to deflect, but do you find Janae a woman? I mean, I find Janae attractive. However, Janae's attitude makes her not attractive. Would you agree with that basic assessment?
Okay. It's about, and here's the thing, is that, not to talk about Janae in particular, because I haven't dealt with her. I don't know Janae. You get what I'm saying? Even if I were to create a caricature based on her YouTube stuff, that might not be her at all, right? But let me use the caricature, which I see on YouTube. The thing is, a lot of women like that will actually try, and the problem is, it doesn't usually work because of all the others, because of the rest of it. But in their personal life, if they have a man that they consider to be high value, they don't bring that stuff up or act like that.
Wait, can you say that again for the slow Negroes?
If they find a man, and I'm not saying they're going to say this on YouTube. I'm going to say, with that man on his couch, they're not going to bring up any of these attitudes or things that you're saying that will, in your view, make them unattractive for a high value man.
Oof. Ike, now you cooking, baby. Now you cooking. Let's go, Ike. Let's go, bro. Let's go.
And to be honest, I haven't said anything that you cannot construct out of what Janae says herself, right? Because you can't get her in the. I've listened to a couple of things that she says in that on your stream too. That she will say something like that. That yeah, man says I'm down, right? But the problem is there's this outside persona, and there is this image that you need to keep up, because you got to. It's like what I was saying, you cannot use the logic, because you have these things that you gotta do, and this persona post. And I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I'm a philosophical person. There are different positions on things, as long as you're able to openly discuss them, right? So the persona about I'm a strong, independent woman, don't need no man, marriage is subjugation, being married for a long time and early is bondage. That persona, the fact that you have to do that in order to get a certain kind of clout, both with yourself and a certain cohort of people, right? That makes it almost impossible for you to actually then act out the real thing which you actually want to act out with the high value man, right? So while they may desire to actually, you know, not be that way, but it's not possible. You can't do that. You are a massive collection of all these things that you are, you do, an image, and so on and so forth. But in reality, they take all that stuff back in with the high value man. But the problem is it doesn't work because you already have created your. If you want to get spiritual with it, to go back to your other question, I'm not a person that doesn't believe in spiritual. A spiritual person will kind of describe that what I just said differently, right? It's almost like they would talk about like, you know, the demons that they have, you know, get led into their souls or something like that. That is almost the same thing that I'm saying, right? That be careful the demons that you play with, because you cannot just shut the door on them when it's time for you to do something else, right? But one sentence about your spirituality stuff. I said, if you believe in 6-day earth creation, I did not talk about I didn't talk about religion. I said something quite specific, which science has something to say about, right? Science and religion are in different spheres, but you cannot tell me that literally the earth was created in 6 days. You know, he created the sun on the third day. There were no days before the sun and that kind of stuff, right? So you can't believe that literally. Religion is not about literal belief, right? Religion, mythology, and storyland is not about belief. We cannot live without these mythologies, though. That's the thing that I truly believe. We cannot survive. We are not human. The human being is a spiritual animal, right? In the sense that it is an animal that is conscious of itself and it has to have a story. You have to have a name with a history, with a this, with a that. If you don't have that, what the fuck does it even really mean to be a human being without what I call Storyville? And Storyville is the realm of mythology, or religions, or just your own personal biography, right? That thing is a real thing. It will make your heart rate go up. It'll make it come down. It'll make you die young or live longer, right? It actually affects real physical shit. So there is no human being without that layer of things, just to address that point.
Solar TV 84. I'm going to class today, guys. Shout out to Ike. I really, Ike, can you hear me, bro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought I
now
froze.
you're trolling me. I see. See, and this is another thing. For those who don't know, Ike always drops the money, right? Shout out to Ike, by the way. You feel me? Everybody always wonders when this was the guy who called me a gorilla. I was like, bruh. Then he dropped 100. Shout out to Ike. I didn't know you were black, though. Shout out to you, bruh. I was like, yeah, we need to have.
I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose. I was trolling, right? I used my real face and everything. I didn't hide who I was, but I could.
Bro, I thought you was Mexican.
Yeah, you could thought I was Mexican, maybe you thought white. Who knows what I am? And then I throw in. I'm like, hey, my nigga, and it'll throw you off, and that's part of why I did it. It's all in good fun. I know.
Come on, man.
This is Solo TV 84. We can joke around, right? That kind of thing. But to that thing about the red pill and what I started noticing, right, is I would notice that stuff, that kind of deflection that I mentioned, right? And I was like, well, what the hell is that, right? And then there were other things that I noticed that were confirmed by consuming, videos and products like yours, right? That will say, well, by the way, you never talk about. Let me mention this. Oh yeah, you. What is the reason why you say don't talk about the red? Because I agree too. That was bullshit. That was the dumbest thing I ever did, was to try to bring up that fucking subject, right? To talk about that kind of thing, right? Why do you say you're not supposed to talk about Fight Club?
Fight Club doesn't exist.
My bad. Okay.
What are you talking about, bro? I don't know about Fight Club.
So here's the thing. The real thing, though, and this is important for I think men to know, is that women don't like. It's not just about, because when I said, oh, she just has this emotional prior, she's trying to defend, and that's why she's blocking it. That was one aspect of it, and it may be even seen as an aspect that's not very generous towards her. But to be honest, there is a part of it that demeans you as a man when you talk those kinds of things, because women don't want you to talk about it. They want you to be about it. If you have an idea of what a man is,
That's what, yes. Yeah, yeah, I talk that talk.
if you have an idea of what a man is, they don't want to hear about it. Just fucking be it. If you have an idea that you have to lead, I don't want to hear about it, she says. Just fucking lead. If you have an idea, you get what I'm saying? And you know it's true. This is like a cliche, right? And I did not know this. I was silly. Thought, we're going to talk about everything. It's like, no, 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 no. There's certain things that a woman does not want to hear from her man, right? So I was busy fucking myself by bringing the talking that way, and she was trying to defend her respect for me almost
Pause.
by
Pause. But man, this is a no fap channel, bro. We don't fuck up.
we don't fuck ourselves here.
No
My
fap,
bad.
bro. I don't
No
know. You
fap.
ever heard of
No.
no fap? We don't. Okay. Shout out to Darth Tyrone. I had to spit on my gum for a second. He said, "I like Ike's analytical approach to Red Pill. Good work, Solo. Enjoying the stream. You know what? I'm very appreciative that Ike came on, but bro, I didn't know you was gonna be so heavy, bro. Had I known, I would have wore a suit and a tie and like brushed up on my Webster's dictionary. But Ike, continue, bro. I just had to read the super chat to get it out of your screen.
Yeah, all good, all good. So that is a main thing that I think is important for, and one of the things that I learned after, like, the red pill. There were things I used to do, like, for example, bring up those kinds of topics, and then things I no longer do, and I understand why. As a matter of fact, it was detrimental to my value in her eyes to be talking about it rather than being about it. Just be, okay? Just fucking be. And I understand why a woman appreciates that in a man, because uh, if she has to tell you, then how can she trust you, right? It's like, if she has to tell you or discuss it with you, then how the hell can she count on you to do what is right? It's like, because if she's telling you, then she's the one she's not counting on. You get what I'm saying? But anyways, so that was one main thing that I learned. Now, something else that, in terms of, I mentioned, the high value, right? That we kind of went on that tangent about, you brought up Janae. I said high value men. So I do music, right? So when I'm doing my music stuff, I'm the lead singer of the band, right? So I get to play the Chad Tyrone stuff, right? But I also get to play this other guy, right, in a penthouse in Seattle in some kind of event with a different crew of people, right? So, and you will know, just this, you might find this interesting, is that, amongst the, let's say, college educated people in that penthouse in Seattle sipping their Chardonnay, right, and looking at you as a high value man, there is something that women, time and time again, bring up. They will go out of their way, and I haven't used this word so far, but they'll go out of their way to say, I'm not a feminist. Have you ever heard that one? It's like, you didn't ask for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like they're telling you, oh, I'm not one of the, don't judge me as one of those who, like, I'm not, you get what I'm saying? That's why I kind of said, that, a Janae, and I'm not talking about Janae, I'm talking about, like, we're talking about a caricature, a character, right?
Yeah, the archetype, right?
The archetype of Janae will, if she sees you in that penthouse with your suit on, and she knows that your wallet is fucking fat and you can provider, all of a sudden she'll go out of her way to say, like, I think there was a book, like Sheryl Sandberg's book that I saw, and oh yeah, it was Sheryl Sandberg. It's called Lean In. And I asked her about it. She was like, oh no, don't worry, it's not really a kind of book, and it's all feminism. I'm not really into that. I'm not a feminist. You know what I mean? Like, you're all really defensive about it, and I did not even elicit that kind of thing. And this happens time and again in that environment. Okay, I've pictured two environments. One is, Chad Tyrone environment. I'm the lead singer in the band doing that kind of stuff. There's a certain kind of interaction that goes on there. And then this other interaction that I described in this penthouse is different, where they will say, oh yeah, I will. be cooperative and this and that. I don't know. I don't believe any of that stuff, right? So they bring it up. I don't, because I've learned not to talk about that kind of shit anymore. Just be about it, and they will, be like, hey, 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 hey. I guess that's the kind of person they will call pick me's. But pick me's get picked, right?
Wait,
But
wait, wait, wait. Pygmies get what?
pick me's get picked. Um, but don't pick just because you heard the words, okay? Because another basic truth is you have to watch the actions and the history, right? Yeah, it's not a not what they say. Okay. So I'm not a fan and so on and so forth. But then you're like, okay, well, would you like to get married? Let's say, okay, whatever. But you're in your 30s now. Well, why aren't you married, right? And so, I wanted to put things like my independence and my education, my career first, so on and so forth. Things, by the way, which you can always do later, right? Um, so your life and the way you're living it and the things you've prioritized are right in line with the theology that you're saying you're not a part of, right? So just because someone acts like a pick me and says the right things doesn't necessarily mean that they get picked. But a real pick me who knows it, acts it out, so on and so forth, they do get picked. Again, in that penthouse in Seattle, it, a different thing goes on altogether when I'm doing my music shit at the club, right? They don't bring that stuff up because they're not looking at you as a high value male in that regard. They're just looking at you as Tyrone. I'm just the guy, lead singer of the band. He's a tall guy, not bad looking. He's doing his thing, dancing, controlling the crowd. That's a totally different kind of transaction.
Wait, Ike, how tall are you?
6'3".
Oh, come on, bro. Not only are you smart, but you 6'3" too. Come on, man. All right, man. I'm not hating, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solo TV 84. We got Ike in the building and dropping a lot of jewels. Bro, I really appreciate you coming on and supporting. Um, bro, Ike, when you look at the landscape of modern dating, why do you think there's such a disconnect between modern man and woman?
You accuse me of being long-winded, but you're asking me these questions that span
Okay, well,
across
I'm gonna
10,000
let you talk.
years.
I'm gonna let you talk, bro.
No, no, no.
Hit the
Well,
like button.
you guys need to hit the like button. How many people on the chat right now? It needs to be at least that many likes, right?
It's 148, bro. Like you got
Well,
you
how
got
many
you
likes
doing
do we
good.
have? Hmm.
Um,
Anyways,
we got 129, bro. Facts.
smash those likes. Smash those likes.
And we still waiting for Ike to make it rain. Facts. Shout out to Ike. Hey, Ike, man, I really appreciate you though. Like I said off camera, Ike has supported me a lot, guys. You guys don't realize how hard we work, and because of Ike, I got this new microphone, this new webcam, and I'm about to get some toilet paper. But we'll talk about COVID in a sec. Ike, see, I got all these questions for you, bro. I got COVID. Okay, but Ike, let's talk about the main issue. Why is there a disconnect between man and woman? Because now we got all these black pillars talking about it's all about looks, money, and status. Like,
Well, okay. So there's men. I'm glad that you mentioned the man part, right? Whom are complaining about looks, money, and status, right? Okay, they will say, "Oh, it's easy for you to say you are 6'3". And Solo, I know you're like 6 when you have shoes on, right? Is that correct?
I'm 5'11 and a half. I grew since I lost some weight. I've actually grown to 6 feet tall.
Yeah, it's
Believe
funny.
it or not.
It's funny that actually happens. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm 6 feet tall now, guys. I've lost some weight, so now I'm 6 feet tall. And once I lose more weight, I'll be 6'1".
There you go. Bam. Now, it is true that, and every over average height guy knows, and I'm not talking about people trying to jump your bones or nothing, but when you walk in a room, people cannot help but notice, right? It just is what it is. You're just the tallest person there, okay? And if you also dress sharp and do this and you happen to look good as well, yes, there is an advantage to that. But that's not really what being a man is about, right? I'm just addressing the man side of things now. Okay. If you go back to a few questions back where we talked about people not trying to do the hard work that it takes to compete in the real world, which is a global world now, we're no longer hidden by oceans. Okay. The internet broke all that shit. Okay. Don't look at yourself as though you're isolated in Minneapolis or Seattle or Dallas. Like, no, everything is exposed, right? I think the hard work that men need to do in order to uplift themselves is hard. Okay, it is hard. It's not going to be given to you by someone else. No one's going to butter up your feelings and so on and so forth and tell you you're cute and you can make it and you go girl. There is no fucking you go girl amongst guys, right? And there better not fucking be no you go girl shit amongst guys. That's not how we roll, right? You better fucking be on your shit, okay? And it's a very important point. I'm getting all passionate about it, but it's not easy to be a productive member of society, and you don't do it because of women. And anybody who starts talking about how they can't get women and it's all about looks, money, and this and that, I'm like, where the fuck is your empire? You know what I mean? Where is your shit? Like, and why are you talking about this shit then? It's like, I don't see you at the bank, or whatever. I only see, it's not like, oh yeah, I actually own a bank over there, but fuck, these women and money status is like, no, you ain't got shit and you ain't about shit.
Hey, hold up. Did I just pull out a meme? I don't see you at the bank. That's a meme, right? When your friends say, I haven't seen you in a while. And then you'd be like, well, I don't see you at the bank.
Exactly. Like
I pulling out memes. I knew you were a geek. I knew it. You probably watch anime too. I admit it. You watch anime.
Dragon Ball Z, Yasha, all that shit. But anyways, of course, I consume all kinds of culture. But point is, I think that on the man side of things, especially because it's not, that black pill shit doesn't exist in India. You know what I mean? I know people are still on their grind, on their game there, and that's how they'll fucking eat your lunch. They'll drink your milkshake. They'll fucking take your cookies while you're fucking complaining about whatever the fuck you're complaining about, right? So that's the issue on the man side, okay? Which also obviously has a repercussion slightly on the women's side as well. But the issue on the women's side has to do with just the modern and postmodern fire hose that they drank in college, right? And it's different in different communities, right? Because I'm gonna go there. While Becky might say all kinds of things about female empowerment and this and that and the other, but she's getting her Brad while she's doing that shit, while she's telling you that. Okay, you need to pay attention. She's getting her Brad, getting in her minivan, and driving the kids to whatever. In 2-3 years, she's gonna be a soccer mom, but she'll tell you, oh yeah, don't do this, you don't need no man, but she's getting her Brad. Okay, so but certain other communities took it whole cloth. Like, I'm not just gonna say it to make myself feel good. I'm gonna live it out as well. And unfortunately, because of the limited amount of time, there now builds on a resentment, right? Because you can't do that forever. And by the point it's too late, are you going to go back? Us human beings are very, very good at post hoc justification for decisions we made. Okay? You know the thing about the sour grapes, right? It's like, you try to get the grapes, and you couldn't get the grapes, and you're like, fuck the grapes, they were sour anyway, right? I know you know the analogy I just made in terms of what you're asking.
Yeah, of course.
Fucking guy. But yeah, so in a nutshell, I would say, because in the end we're making sketches, don't want to be too long-winded and so on and so forth, and we can fill in any parts you need to fill out and so on and so forth. But these things are kind of important. The man on the black pill side, not understanding that, the world has been always fucking real, but you were just insulated out here in the West for a long time, and that's why immigrants will come here and eat your lunch. And number two is that whole too much of the swing on the pendulum from well, let's take out the kings and the church, which is, what generally modernism was about. Isaac Newton and well, let's take out the king and the church and let's create a new political order of democracy and human rights. But then is keep going, like, let's take out all boundaries, all roles. Everything is about oppression and power. Everything that you say, do, whatever, is about who has power over the other, and we're going to just make it a war of all against all. And some people took that in hook, line, and sinker. Oh shit!
Man, I thought we was going to talk about dots today, bro. You trolled me, bro. I thought you got me. You got me, bro. I see what you did, bro. You a smart motherfucker. He came on. Okay, whatever. Shout out to Christopher of Garbos. He says, great stream. What is Ike's thoughts on mental illness and depression among men, getting out of your head and ultimately building your life legacy? That's a good question, actually, Ike. Because right now, Ike, let's talk about it. With the COVID-19, suicide among everybody's high, but particularly men, right? And mental illness is something that preludes to that. What are your thoughts? And by the way, Ike is not a doctor or medical professional, guys. Don't put him in that box, but Ike, go ahead, bro, and chop it up on that topic.
Well, first of all, and I think especially in the overall in general, it's actually a Western thing, to be honest with you, in the sense that, if somebody breaks their knee or if someone has a cast or someone has a kidney failure, we say, oh, well, kidney failure, you're in hospital, we take care of them and this and that. We actually gravitate towards them and we want to help and we feel compassion and so on and so forth. Okay? If they have a mental illness, there's stigma. There is a pushing away. It's like all of a sudden, because we have this weird idea that, the brain doesn't exist or something, or that it's not a part of the body like any other part, or that even Storyville and Psychologyville is not real, which has to do mainly, and that's why I say it's a Western thing, because in other cultures, those things are kind of dealt with spiritually. You know what I mean? Because they are spiritual. What I mean is the actual word spirit means consciousness, by the way. It's a Germanic phrase that means spirit. When we talk about a spirit, what are we talking about, right? We're talking about a consciousness that doesn't have a body. So it's exactly the same fucking shit, right? So it's not like so spiritual shit, right? Okay. So
facts.
In other cultures, it's kind of dealt with spiritually because yes, it's a consciousness thing. In the West, we kind of did that split of, mind, body, and then we kind of lost the mind into some kind of weird thing, and we're kind of afraid of it. And anything that we can't see in front of our eyes, this is a mass, this is a broken bone. We're scared of it. We push it away. We stigmatize people when they actually need support more. These people actually need the most support, right? There is no role for them, no place for them. I mean, certain shamans in certain societies were kind of crazy motherfuckers, okay? They were not all there, but they served the role. Okay, they actually did serve an actual real role, because you kind of need somebody to be out there in the edges, in the edges of consciousness, right? And you do some meditation, so you probably know this, but that's the first thing and obviously that doesn't just get addressed with the sign of some signature or the flick of the wrist or something. That is something that we need to make more and more progress on, and we are making more and more progress on, and videos like this do serve to that end. But there is another thing which I mentioned, which is meditation, which is, I'm not a medical doctor, as you said, but if there's one thing I can recommend to anybody, just one thing, the most important thing is meditate. Get into it. Okay, just do it. It is even more important than exercising. Okay, and you mentioned COVID, mental health, so on and so forth. And since I know you talk about a little bit in terms like, you do meditation, so on and so forth. So you get what I'm saying. These two things are hand in hand in the sense that people need to accept more. The more people meditate, the more you can, because to use, let me kind of paint a picture. Meditation is almost like you have an operating system, right? You're a fucking flesh robot out here in the real world doing things. Like if you just look from Mars or something, you're gonna see some system operating called you. It does things, okay? Now, how do you create an internal dashboard, right? Where you can see certain gauges, where you can monitor certain gauges of what's in your head. What is in your head? It's voices and images. Those are the only things that are in your head, right? What's in your body, right? Their feelings and their emotions. Okay. Feelings of, your back's a little off, you feel a little dehydrated, so you feel a little tense, so you feel a little angry, or emotions because of something just happened. And emotions and feelings and mental tend to reinforce each other. Okay. You wake up and your back is off. Because your back is off, you start thinking all kinds of shit about the person who cut you off on the freeway yesterday. Now you got images in your head. Why? You actually have images in your head about stuff that has nothing to do with your back is thinking. You're not in control. If you are able to build a dashboard that shows you, okay, well, that's back talking. That's, oh, well, this is this repeating whatever pattern, whatever. First is to create that dashboard. Secondly, you're going to be able to start putting buttons and knobs on that dashboard where you can actually dial things up, dial things down. Watch yourself happen as opposed to just be carried away by the wind. And I think that is a very important first step. Obviously, if you have a diagnosable thing, you need to go seek professional help. But every human operating system needs to develop that dashboard. And the most straightforward and effective way of doing it is through meditation.
Wow, guys, I'm speechless right now,
It
and I
helps your
really
game too, which is another thing about, if we want to, talk some, it
hold on,
really does.
hold that thought for 20 seconds.
Okay.
Shout out to Drone Trucker for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. But you know what, guys? We're getting into some like enlightenment type things right now, and I've grasped it for like 5 seconds. I'm not gonna lie, but meditation, guys, will open up realms in your brain that you didn't even know existed. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So I was just going to talk about it by bringing up some practical aspects. I use my dashboard example. And the thing about something like meditation is you don't want to talk about it too much because it's like exercise. Okay. What's the point of talking about exercise so much? You get what I'm saying? The person actually has to do it. Okay. You get what I'm saying, right? So I'm like, go do the meditation. It's about setting up a dashboard for your uh, feelings, which are emotions and bodily sensations, and then images in your head and thoughts in your head. If you think about what solo is those three things at any point in time. Solo went crazy. Why? So Solo did some crazy shit. Why? It's one of these three parameters, or actually all three interacting together. He had a feeling in his body, he had an image in his head, and he had some talk in his head. That's why he did the crazy shit. If you're able to map out that dashboard and be the master of it, rather than, oh shit, he just, well, the feelings took him, oh, that image, if you're able to, and it takes time because I said the first step is to actually draw a high resolution dashboard so that you can able to kind of observe the system. Secondly, you're going to start building knobs, cranks, and little handles to actually drive that ship so that you're not just, so you can see it from a mile away. You can see that, oh, this is one of those days where I'm liable to cuss someone out for no reason. Immediately when you wake up, you'll know, and you're going to be less likely to cuss someone out because you can see that shit from a mile away. You're looking at that dashboard. You're like, oh, the gas is on E. I'm not going to be fooled by that, right? I'm not going to be fooled by gas on E. Last time gas was on E, I did some stupid shit. I'm watching that gas meter. And by the way, let me try to fix it. I'm going to try to get some hydration. I'm going to try to run on the bike, do some yoga, stretch out, do whatever, get that fixed, pay attention to it, so on and so forth. Now, not to talk about it too much because actually you need to do it. It's just like exercise. You're not going to get any benefit by somebody telling you how to run or how to cycle. You actually have to do it. Now, how does it help though in terms of day to day, every day, and with women to kind of keep things all in a nice little bow? Is we know this from sales, or also let's say like doing gigs, which I do, right? When you are in, I'm going to use a little jargon, flow state, right? That's what the athletes call it, right? Which is very similar to kind of getting in that zone with meditation. Uh, when you're in flow state, that's when you have the most effect on someone else, and it's almost like osmosis. Okay, let me just say something really simple. In sales, they say, because I do a little bit of sales both for my private company and also for whatever, right? But you have to be sold. You need to be convinced. You need to be excited about your product in order to sell effectively. There are other ways to do it. You could hold a gun to someone's head and tell them to buy, right? But if you're actually sold, convinced, and you're in flow state and you believe, you can literally hypnotize people into doing stuff, right? Because people want to go with people, like, it works. Okay, you've seen that cliche said, and perhaps intuitively you understand what I'm saying. Now, let's talk about something that we may have some more experience with. Maybe we haven't sold or we haven't done a lot of persuasion, but a performer of any kind knows that the way you get the crowd going the most is when you don't do it for them. The best reaction you're going to get from a crowd is when you dance like you're dancing in front of your mirror. Like you don't give a fuck who's there, right? Like you're just in the fucking zone, right? You're down with it. Your dashboard is lighting up. You ain't got no fucking problems, no worries. You just are what you are. People fucking gravitate to that stuff like magnet. I don't understand the full thing behind it. There's certain theories as to why, but basically, we know it works. Otherwise, it would not be written in sales books about how basically persuasion is about persuading yourself first. Okay, so when to talk about gaming women and stuff like that, right? So you take care of certain basics. You work out. You stay fit. Obviously you're on your purpose, to use that phrase, right? Obviously you're out there, making sure shit is right, making your dent in the universe, getting some money, doing whatever the hell you got that shit done. And then you're dressed nice, you smell good, whatever. And then if you have your mental game right, you're meditating, you're in the zone, you see your dashboard rather clearly, ain't nothing gonna throw you off, you already know where you're at. It's like magic what it does in terms of your ability to convince, because it's all a sales pitch, right? If it works in sales and if it works with a performance, which I do, right? I do the music thing. Why do you think it's not going to work anywhere else? It's the same human beings you're dealing with, right? So getting that stuff right will get you right. It'll get all the other purposes you need to get done right. And it'll make people gravitate towards you. And that's why I say again, meditation, number one thing.
Wow, you know what? Whew, I was just watching you for a moment, bro. Like when you talk, bro, like literally, usually when I do a stream, I have to take over, but bro, I could just leave, meditate for 30 minutes, come back. I'm good. Matter of fact, it felt like I was just meditating right now, listening to you. Because notice now, like my voice is a lot more calmer. There's a lot of peace with you, bro. Do you get that when people are around you? Do they ever say like they catch a vibe around you? Because, bro, you are on a different wavelength.
Yeah, if you're being, I'm gonna assume you're being honest, right?
Oh,
But
I am. I'm not even trolling, bro.
yeah, it's just it is what I just said, right? So we just kind of proved that what I said works. Like
Right.
you don't need to. The thing about it is, when you do it, they're not going to be the questions of like, well, how? Like I just painted the scene of okay, it's going to be easy when you're trying to get that lady at the lounge or whatever, if you got all that stuff, you're not gonna, it's not a question of asking me, okay, well, what's the next step? What do you do when you walk in? It's like, if you have done all the steps, because there's a bottom of the pyramid, which for me is always physical, right? You always
Right.
got to be in the physical space, the blah, 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 all those things. And then you add that mental thing on top. You don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to ask me how what happens at that lounge. The right thing will happen, okay? Because people will feel comfortable around you, right? And that's the most important thing in terms of persuasion. Is, and it is. I use the word hypnosis for a real reason, because it is hypnosis. Hypnosis is just a word for describing what I just said, right? It's just a word for describing, like, what is it about that performance when Steve Tyler is on stage and is doing this thing? Like, what is it about Bob Marley that's just so captivating? That all those things, it's the same word. Where they are is they're in the zone. They don't even know. It doesn't matter who is there. They're not directing any of that towards you. They're dancing and singing and living like no one is watching. Like they're singing in the bathroom. And that's how you need to be. How do you get there? And no, it's not fucking easy. No. But just like working out, you have to put in the meditation.
Fact.
Right?
All right, all right. Well, listen, bro. I got one last question for you before we get going. Obviously, Ike, as you know, you're in California. The COVID has hit you probably almost harder than, well, New York probably has been hit harder than Cali, but Cali's been hit pretty hard. When you look at the situation now, there are a lot of people out here saying this is the age of the NWO, right? And I know, Ike, you're probably rolling your eyes mentally right now, but there are a lot of people out here who think that, oh, well, everything will go back to normal. Well, you can't even go to a bar right now or a beach in California right now. With what you have seen with the COVID situation and what you perceive as a thinking man, what do you see going on right now with this COVID, and where do you see this ending up when we are ushering into a new year in less than 6 months?
First of all, there is a reality that us human beings are very, very adaptable. And also, when we are within a certain milieu, when we are within a certain soup, right? When it's new, we can notice it. But when it becomes normal, and I hate this phrase, new normal, right? But the new normal just happens like that. And then now it's a whole new phase. And you are not even going to know you're in a new phase. But if you were looking at it objectively, you would have seen that many things would have changed, right? So one aspect of it, what I try to describe at this point is, what is our subjective feeling going to be? Our subjective feeling is not going to be different because we always adjust, right? And we only notice in the beginning, like, oh shit, and then it's just like, okay, you're back. I'm back to Ike, back to Solo. Obviously, if fucking Hitler comes back and starts nuking your ass, well, hey, you're gonna notice that, right? But I don't think that's going to be the level of change that's going to take place. Now, COVID kind of accelerated many things that were already in play, right? Just regular normal things. Like, I think that a lot of work from home is going to be normal now, right? And people are because companies are noticing that actually people are more productive at home, which is something that was always obvious to me. I've been working from home or on the road. I traveled from California, Oregon, and Washington and such. And I know that working from home is more productive for me. Now, granted, I'm an introvert. I like to do shit. I'm a very hard worker. I don't like people around me fucking talking nonsense. So it makes sense for me, but I think it's also true for most people. So that's going to change, right? All other things, like, let's say, things like restaurants, because people that never tried out, let's say, the DoorDashes and things like that before, this was their time to try it. So if you want to talk about from an economic standpoint, there's certain companies or certain things about in terms of that, like the internet space. The internet space just got accelerated by COVID. More and more things are going to be done now remotely. Okay. Now, that's going to be a huge disruption economically for a lot of people, right? Obviously. So that makes it very important because it could be a powder keg. It could be a very dangerous situation when people are already dissatisfied for other reasons, which I mentioned, right? Like I talked about, general globalization and competing in a world now where you have to compete with the Indians and the Pakistanis and everybody else. You don't have that cloak surrounding you anymore, America, where you can just think you could do the bare minimum and still be as an individual on top. As an individual, no, you're not going to make it. The middle class doesn't really exist anymore. There is no middle class anymore, right? There is no, oh, I'm going to work for GE and retire and get the gold watch and the why that does not exist anymore. You need to. There's a big leap that you need to make. You need to stop looking at six figures like it was. Six figures is nothing. Six figures is just the beginning as far as what you need. So what am I saying? Okay, I said subjectively it's not really going to matter. Granted, nothing catastrophic happens. Okay, but that there is a chance for catastrophic shit to happen because for example, a lot of the intensity of the quote unquote protests, I think a lot of that intensity was partially because of COVID, right? Because we're kind of locked in. But a lot of the energy behind a lot of the protests have to do with long ranging. As I said, the dream died in the 50s, okay? But we've been living on the corpse, feeding off the corpse of that dream till now, okay? But the carcass is almost done, okay? People don't really know why or how or what exactly, I'm talking about right now, but we feel it, okay? And one of the easiest ways to measure those things is from using economic parameters. So when I say the middle class is dead, you're not going to live that life that person lived with this company and then you're able to raise a family of four and retire, blah, blah. No, you need to fucking start looking at how you're going to get yourself at least $120,000 a year. Okay. Just for yourself. You want to bring a family into this world. You're going to need to up that, obviously, depending on where you're at, right? You're going to need to up that to 200K, 300K. God forbid you live in the Bay. You're going to need to do some crazy shit, right? To really get that going. Okay. And I think that is one of the most important things that should come out of this crisis. And one of the most important changes in mindset that should come out is, and especially with those black pill types or whatever, it's not about women, dude. Like you're gonna get buried out here by the economic realities that we've been facing for a long time, but we've been papering over with literally fiat currency and all kinds of manipulation, all kinds of bullshit for the longest time. But niggas, you need to start understanding. And okay, what does it take? What does it take to get that 150K? Okay, you need to fucking cut off your fucking Netflix subscription. Why? Because it's expensive? No, it's not because it's expensive. It's because you should not be watching fucking Netflix. You should not tell me. You should not know anything about those shows on TV. You should not know anything about that shit. Okay, it's mind-bogglingly crazy the amount of time people waste. Why am I saying that? Because it takes a lot of time to move yourself, to train yourself, to better yourself, to begin to start getting more and more money. I'm talking 14-hour days, 6 days a week, minimum, okay, minimum. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I think that's very important.
I'm speechless. Facts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to meditate for 30 minutes right now. I thank you. That flow state you talking about, sir, I've been there, but it's an amazing place to be. Guys, listen, I've done a lot of streams, but I thought we were going to talk about thoughts today. But
we talked
you know
about
what?
thoughts.
I'm so
about
glad we
the
didn't.
equations.
No,
and
wait.
all that. We broke it down.
Hold on. Ike, I'm glad we didn't. This is probably the most important stream I've done this year, bar none. And Ike, you guys see Ike always dropping the hundreds here. This guy's extremely intelligent. And Ike, I'm extremely humbled that you even watch me, bro. Like, I'm very humbled, sir. And I sincerely mean that.
It is, as I told you off the stream, The reason I drop those, it's not like I'm just going to everybody's channel and dropping hundreds. Nah, I'm not stupid. Um, but when I do consume data or information and entertainment and so on and so forth, I got into your channel about 3 years ago. And when I see value, I always give value back. Now, it's just in my nature. Like I like to tip big tips. I think that, you know, I don't know the exact mechanism, but there's a psychological thing about not keeping a closed fist that makes stuff come back to you, right? So, and it's
Oh
not.
wait,
It's not
there was an anime about that called Full. What's that anime? Somebody knows. Is it Full Metal Alchemist?
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
remember it's called the law of not the law of reciprocation, but the law of. Somebody knows in the chat. They'll mention it.
they always they end each episode with that, right, or something like that, right?
Yeah, there's a law.
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
you to get something, you have to give something.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, there. Look, you can call it karma or that law, so on and so forth. The reason why that idea, that meme, if you will, has existed for thousands of years, is because there's something to it. It's true. A lot of I'm a scientifically minded kind of person, even though I understand that life is more than just matter and stuff. That this Storyville actually exists, because we're human beings.
Wait. I'm sorry. The law of equivalent exchange. It's called.
Exactly. I remember that, and
Yeah.
it was the young brother that I think used to would say it at the end, the metal guy. But
Exactly.
the law of equivalent exchange. But one of the things, just to put a practical point on it when it comes to money, because on many regards we already understand it in terms of, well, if I'm interacting with somebody, there's a give and take involved. But when you blow out the big picture, it's hard to see, well, how does it work that if I'm giving, then I get, even if it's not a direct thing. But when you give, there's a psychological release that happens. And this is very important too when it comes to getting money. You need to take off your psychological hang-ups with money for you to actually get money. In other words, it's almost like with women or with anything, like if you don't treat it like, oh my God, it comes to you. The same thing with money. If you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Solo's stream, I'm just gonna max out on what YouTube says I can do, which I think is like 600 or and then they block you. I don't know why they block you, but like they stop you from giving more. Maybe they think you've gone crazy or something.
I told you that's why you gotta hit the Cash App, bro.
I know, and I did the Patreon, and yeah. But when you do that, you're releasing a certain psychological hang-up. It's the same thing that you do when you're like, when you are in a zone where you don't really feel like, oh, I need women. Then all of a sudden they come to you. Well, why is that? Same thing is true with money. It's true with everything of value. You need to become the master of everything of value in order to actually have it. Okay. And that means actually taking the time to make sure that if you have any hangups about either, because we don't just have hangups about spending money, we actually have hangups about getting money. It scares people. People get weird about money. We that. Everybody's gone through that. So you need to fucking beat that out of your system. You need to actually have practices for, like, fuck it, right? And all of a sudden, you're going to be in a certain mind state where you're going to make certain kinds of decisions. You're going to take certain kinds of risks. You're going to do certain kinds of things that's just going to make it easier for people to fucking give you more money.
Ike, bro, you are a wise sage indeed, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Not yet. Let's talk in 30 more years. I'll be a sage in 30 years.
I'm just Mr. Miyagi, y'all. We got Ike, aka look, Ike. No disrespect, but you Mr. Miyagi now, fact. You know what I'm saying? Wow, bro. My mind is I have to watch the stream again because you dropped jewels on top of jewel that. And bro, I thought we would he's like, yeah, we'll just wing it. I was like, okay, we're going to interview, talk about thoughts. Why you troll me like that, bro?
We were winging it.
But you know what? This is definitely, guys, to me, I know we only have 120 people right now, but this is the best live stream. This is very important. And I really appreciate you coming on. And I hope I didn't interrupt you too much, because towards the latter part, I just fell back, obviously. And I hope that, I mean, did you have fun, Ike? I know this was maybe a different conversation than you're used to. Did you enjoy your first live stream? What did you think, bro?
Well, to the degree to which it was useful to you, then that is obviously number one, the main goal. This is Solo TV 84. It's a live stream going on Solo TV 84. If the creator of Solo TV 84 says, you know what, this met the purpose, this is in line with the direction that I'm going towards, and I actually liked it, then that is number one, right? So in that regard, I've done my job, and I feel humbled to have been able to do that job. And as far as having fun, as you can tell, like, it's, I was just doing my thing. I was just being natural, just talking, right? So it's like, it was a good time, right?
And everybody follow Ike's YouTube channel. Ike, you may have to make another channel on some of your views on life from an introspective perspective, like you just did, or philosophical point of view. Because, bro, you got a lot of game, bro. Like, there's an old saying, Ike, if you have knowledge, it's meant to be shared, brother. You know what I mean? That's a fact. So, Ike, you got all this knowledge, bro. Don't just give it to the thoughts. Give it to everybody.
Seattle Penthouse thoughts.
Seattle, hey, nothing wrong with them. I heard Seattle girls got big fat booties. Any final words, Ike, before we leave?
Well, I would like to thank the audience, both those in the live stream right now and those that will watch later on, right? I would like to thank you for the opportunity, right? And it was a good time, and hopefully perhaps we can come back and talk about something else, and maybe I'll catch you again on another one of your live streams, and I'll start trolling.
Yeah, Ike, next time you're not gonna catch me off guard, bro. Next time, listen, I'm gonna do my research. You're gonna be like, damn, Solo's really well read. Yeah, because listen, that's one thing about me, man. If you give me something to study, like, boom, I pick up on it. Like, I call it the Batman effect. Because Batman has a photographic memory. So do I. Except I'm not as smart as Batman. But, next time me and Ike will, and by the way, we're not talking about engineering, Ike. I'm talking about, like, just in general. But shout out to Ike. Everybody follow his YouTube channel, because he's very intelligent, and this guy's dope. He's next. I don't know.
Check me out on SoundCloud too. For the music, I'm also gonna be dropping a new album. I'm actually in LA to do some recording. That's why I'm in LA. I'm usually in the Bay.
Ike, you need any help with the skids, bro?
I might need a videographer or something to do something, like, we should do something.
All right, bro, for sure. Let's talk, bro, for sure. I would definitely help you out, and we definitely got to set up a time, Ike, for you to come back. Next time we'll talk about something, and I'll do my research. I'll be ready. We'll talk about Greek mythology. We're going to talk about Apollo. He's going to be like, Solo, I don't know nothing about. Yeah, that's right, Ike. I got the big books. Let's talk about Greek mythology. He's going to be like, I don't know about Aphrodite. Like, Ike, come on. No, I'm joking. Hey, man, Solo TV 84. Y'all follow Ike, and we out, man. Peace. Bro.